Hi there! Before we get started on the Q&A, I just want to say thank you so much for 20,000 subscribers. We're actually now at 24,000, which, if I haven't mentioned it yet, is actually my favorite number. So there's a lot of special things about that number for me. So I'm really happy that... So I want to say thank you so much again for including me in your journey as well as you joining mine. Now, instead of answering your questions in this format, I'm gonna be animating for the very first time on my iPad mini 7 using, also for the very first time, Toon Squid. The only thing left to do is to get started. Now, just a quick setup. Thank you for submitting your questions. I picked 20 of them. Some will be combined because they're pretty similar to one another. Let's start with the first question. How long have I been doing art and how long did it take for me to pursue it? If you've watched my Overcoming Loss video, I actually talk about there my relationship with art growing up. So art was always a hobby for me, even up until my 20s, and I really only started pursuing it seriously in my 30s. In terms of my background in art, I did study fine arts, more leaning towards traditional art in college. But after that, I changed to digital art, but more focusing on the art of graphic design, not illustration, because that was the course that I was in, which was advertising. Around that time when I graduated in 2012, pursuing illustration full-time was pretty difficult considering where I'm from, which is the Philippines. So the kind of jobs that I was more secure in were the ones that were pretty well known and in demand, which is graphic design and visual arts. I've been doing art since I was 4 years old. I was doodling starting then, but I only really did it consistently in 2019. So in my 20s, I did few commissions for experience and the rest of it is just drawing on and off. How do you take care of yourself so you don't burn out or injure your body? I actually make sure that I stretch my hands, to be specific, my wrist, fingers, and all those things. But actually, I got back to the gym now and I've been consistently just making sure that I do my stretches and make my body stronger. Since as an artist, I'm sure you all know that it's a pretty sedentary lifestyle, so we gotta make sure that we move our body as well. What's your favorite movie? I don't really know how to be specific with this since I'm actually a multi-genre type of person. Like, I can go from cute movies to horror movies to sci-fi movies. So if I answer this question, I would prefer to answer it per genre. So here's a list for you instead. Favorite color palette? Lately, I've been navigating to neutral and pink combinations. That is based off of my current persona as well as latte's colors. So the neutral is more of like coffee based, while the pink is my personal favorite color. But I'm actually planning a redesign of my character in a future video, so look forward to that. Does Latte get along with other dogs? Last year, I started being active more in the fur parent community here where we live. And yes, she finally has fur friends that she has daily play dates with. I'm so happy that I made the effort to actually get her out there more because she's no longer afraid or anxious meeting new dogs. What's your favorite GIF that you've ever animated? Until now, it's the GIFtuber that I created in 2023, wherein my persona is cuddling Latte while I use that for my model when streaming. It's where everything started for me and why I'm still continuing right now to pursue animating my characters and art. In a way, it's where my real art journey started. And lastly, what's your favorite music artist? Just like with movies, it's multi-genre, so I'm pretty open even with languages. As long as I love the music and the beat, I'm all for it. I'll admit that I actually still love visiting my 90s and 2000s song playlist and even some of the stuff that my parents love listening to. It's all pretty wide and timeless for me when it comes to music. Here's a list of some of the music I listen to. what's your favorite artwork from 2024? That would be the longest Procreate Dreams animation that I created, which is the YouTube intro, which is this one. I learned a lot from this, and it was also a challenge for me to create something longer in loop, putting more detail into the character animation. And what I love about this is that I wanted it to represent my persona and Latte both as an artist and a content creator. And I hope that I was able to show that through this animation. What is your muse, or what do you like to draw the most? It would be Latte, my fur baby. I actually have a lot of plans of creating stuff based off of her character, like animated GIFs, stickers, and future merch. There's just something about art representing someone that exists in your life that's so important, and I just want to express that through my own art and creating something that is inspired by her presence in my life. I would love to know everyone else's muse. Share in the comments below who yours is. What do you think of anime art style? When I started with art, it was actually all anime inspired. But when I got into college, you could say that anime art style was not really a profitable style, just because I was going to a school that focused more on traditional and realism. It was frowned upon, I suppose, and I'm sure that I'm not the only one who experienced this at art school. But now, as we all know, it's different, and that's also the reason why I was able to confidently go back to a style that I personally always wanted to create. Even though I did enjoy exploring other styles, I feel like as it is part of my childhood, anime art will always have a special place in my heart. So these three questions are related: how long or how I discover or develop my art style. I'll be frank with you, I'm still solidifying my current art style. Just like I told you, I went back to anime art style, but since it's still pretty fresh to me, I'm still creating a more consistent style. So if you'll see my current post, I do still play around a bit. I am narrowing down on some of the features and anatomy, but most of it is still in progress. Because remember, art style is actually fluid, and I would love to create a dedicated video talking about this and showing you guys my actual journey of art styles, because believe me, it was varying and it changed a lot, but by the end of the day, I did enjoy the journey and I still do. So I would love to share with you guys how that art style journey is going. When it comes to creating new characters, how do you find a color palette for each and every one, such as hair, eye color, and their personality? For this one, references. That's how much I will specify on that, like palette references, even some inspiration from fellow artists who do character design, like pro artists and instructors. In this video sponsor, Skillshare. This time, I'm taking a class by Eva Mikles when it comes to character stylization, because I've learned that the best way to find your style is to actually explore styles, because that is the part wherein you realize that you prefer creating one feature in this style from another. So the best way to do that is to learn from other artists' style and then build it as your own. And we can explore a lot with different artists here, because as we all know, Skillshare is the largest online learning community with thousands of classes ranging from beginner to expert, covering different topics such as animation, writing, film, illustration, and so much more. Classes are taught by industry professionals and experts that can help us take our passion, skills, hobbies, and dreams to the next level. If you're not sure where to start, Skillshare has that covered with their Learning Path feature to help you navigate through curated classes that are organized from beginner to expert level. Now it's time to build and find your art style by clicking the description below. The first 500 people to use my link will get 1 month free trial of Skillshare. And now, on to the next question. Tips for those who want to start drawing chibi. For this, I would definitely start with proportion, whether it's 2-head proportion or 3 heads. For me, 3 heads is the max just because I've used it as well, but my go-to is the 2.5 head proportion. So I suggest you play around with it and see which proportion you prefer the most. And the second method that I use is the bean method for the poses and anatomy. What I usually like doing is practicing with real life references and then taking them and transforming them into bean poses just so that I can practice as well when it comes to different kinds of angles. Chibi style is actually my comfort character style just because it's really cute and fun to do. When did you start making animation and where did you learn it in the beginning? I started in 2022 when I downloaded Calipeg. That's where I started with my animated emotes. In terms of learning, I didn't actually learn animation. Instead, it's more of a motion keyframing due to my background as a graphic designer. I used After Effects for that, so in a way, there's a similarity, but it's also not completely the same as character animation. How did you learn to rig the emotes? I like your artwork so much. Thank you so much. In terms of learning how to rig, I actually started making animated emotes due to getting so inspired by live 2D artists that animate their emotes. I didn't learn Live 2D just because my laptop can't handle it, so I looked for a different resource. I could have used After Effects, but I'm just stubbornly wanting to do it on the iPad, so I looked for apps that can do that, which I found, and right now I'm using Calipeg, Procreate Dreams, and a new one which is Toon Squid. The things that I look at while watching Live 2D artists animate is the timing and flow of animation. Just because I'm using a different program or app doesn't mean that I can take the same method and apply it to my own animations. Would you ever switch to drawing and animating on PC? I actually use After Effects when it comes to desktop animation, but I rarely do it nowadays just because I'm completely immersed and comfortable with the programs that I use on the iPad, but it's still my go-to whenever I need to animate on the desktop. Also, I don't have a PC and I don't have any intention of buying at the moment, so Live 2D is not an option for me. Will you ever do a very detailed video of you making an emote? Okay, I do understand that I cut some of the footage, but the reason for that is because there's so many trial and errors that goes on with creating an animated emote. There's also a lot of playbacks because of course when you're changing in the keyframes, you're gonna have to play back to make sure that it's moving the way you want to. I think this is where my future live streams come into play because I won't be editing those. I'll leave them as is as soon as the live ends, and you'll be able to watch exactly how long it takes to animate an emote as well as the trial and error that comes with it. So yeah, look forward to that. What motivated you when you were just beginning in this industry with little audience? The truth is, I didn't really reflect much on like my audience or the beginnings because it's deeper than that for me. When I decided to finally pursue art full-time, I've already lost both my parents. My mom was first and then my dad during the pandemic, and it made me reflect on my own life. It made me feel that I feel like I'm gonna regret it because I never really even tried pursuing art or drawing full-time. So I told myself that I have this opportunity. I did have money saved up when I got laid off, and I thought to myself, I feel like if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. So at that moment, I just decided to go for it and give it all I've got. And that's exactly what I'm still doing now, because now that I've experienced it, I know the possibilities as well as what it takes to pursue it. How to grow a following, I'm stuck, how to evolve as an artist on social media. In my experience, there's really no one formula to this because it's actually more challenging now than it was before. I had moments wherein the span of a year comes and nothing, like it didn't grow at all. So it's really temperamental. But if there's one thing that I'm gonna advise, and I also apply this myself, is to explore different formats and also different ways that you present your process. Some of them can have voiceover or even text or just little effects or something. That's what I'm seeing a lot of people do lately. So it's all about exploration, experimentation, and you can also take advice from mutuals that you see create content that works and apply it to your content. Another tip that I would suggest might be tricky for some people, but I actually advise on cross posting because it actually helps lessens your fixation when it comes to algorithm. Like for me, ever since I started posting in YouTube and TikTok, whenever things aren't as good in Instagram, it can become good in some platform, and it sort of removes that, I don't know, like I felt a level of desperation before in like trying to fix the algorithm, but as we all know, there's really no fixing that. It helps mentally to be able to consistently post. Another thing that helps is being engaging, not only with the people who comment on your posts, but also with other people's posts. And I'll be honest, I'm pretty slow when it comes to responding because that's just the challenge of being in multiple platforms though, so I'll admit that. Remember that when it comes to social media, you can always improve on it. Just make sure that you're also putting your mental health first. Like take a break if you have to, because social media will always be there, and just come back to it because that's where you get opportunities. How can upcoming artists start making content despite them having social anxiety and fear they won't grow? Don't focus on the growth. Unfortunately, it's the best way for you to be consistent. You have to be doing it for a different purpose than just growing. And I know that can get frustrating at some point. For me, I think about it as a portfolio. Even if it's not growing, because I have another account. And even though it's not growing, I know that the stuff that I put there, in case someone does see it, will learn more about me and what I do. And the same with my advice earlier, just explore and go for videos that you don't need to show your face or even do voiceovers with. There's a lot you can do in terms of process and showing your art without having to show yourself in front of the camera, because that's okay. It takes time to build that kind of confidence. Even now, I'm still in progress with that. How much time do you dedicate to working on your drawings per day or week for your resting time? It's hard for me to time how much I draw because now that my work also includes filming and editing, I have to admit, as much as I would love to draw 8 hours a day, which I used to be able to do, I can no longer do that. So I think at the very least, I would allow myself 2 hours minimum per day in case I don't get to draw much. Really depends on what the goal is or to-do list for that day. In terms of resting time, I actually use the Pomodoro method, but my breaks in between would be 5 minutes minimum, maximum 10, especially when I'm drawing consistently, because I do want to rest my eyes and my hands just for a healthier drawing habit. Oh, and don't forget to stretch your shoulder all the way to your fingers before you start drawing. That's what I do as a routine already because it helps me draw longer. Which platforms do you use to offer your commissions? Besides that, I really like your content. Thank you so much for posting. May God bless you. You too. May God bless you too. How to get clients and rates reveal. Commission-wise, I currently use Coffee and VGen, and the rates are actually revealed there. You'll see the rates and possible total in case I do put add-ons on some of them, because I do some with animation and some that don't. So it depends. I also have my card website, which has the packages there because I do offer commission packages. For the moment, it's closed. I'm taking more of emote commissions as a way to apply the stuff that I'm learning and improve my animation. I would love to create a dedicated video with regards to commissions because there are actually some options that you can go about it, and I would love to share that. How did you start? What products do you make? Do you make Twitch emotes and more? I focus on stream assets. A lot of them are animated emotes because as I am currently learning animation, it is a good way for me to apply what I am learning as I go. How is the process of how you make those things? I already share it in my channel, some tutorials that I do when it comes to making animated emotes. Web to sell art. I currently sell on my coffee shop and Etsy. I'm actually looking into another shop, but I'm still checking fees and stuff because it's also something that you have to consider. A good example is my Coffee Gold membership. It actually takes out any coffee transaction fees. The only fee that is charged is the PayPal fee. So it's a pretty big deal when it comes to the overall total deduction. If you're not subscribed to Gold, there will both be a coffee and PayPal transaction fee. What's an unexpected expense of working in the art business? As I'm currently doing digital products, it would have to be transaction fees and subscriptions. This includes the creative tools that we use, such as apps or programs, as well as those that have websites wherein they pay for domains, platform or transaction fees of websites such as Etsy, VGen, and others. For the drawing and animation apps that I use, they're all now one-time payment. Calipeg used to be subscription, but now it's become one-time payment as well, which is great. I do still subscribe to extra storage for my iPad and backups, as well as the editing apps that I use, such as VLLO and CapCut. The reason why I call them unexpected expense is because they pile up at some point when you don't check on how much subscription you're paying for. Like if you use Clip Studio Paint, the iPad or tablet version is subscription based. Their one-time payment is only available for desktop, Windows, or Mac. I don't know with regards to physical products, that has its own unexpected expenses, but for what I'm using, this is one of those. I would like to ask if you have plans in the future to further your drawing career. Yes, definitely. That's why I'm still continuously practicing and learning. Do you think AI will replace artists in, let's say, 5 or 10 years? What steps would you take to avoid that? Okay, all right. So this is a good finale question, but I will go about this briefly and would love to talk about this in a dedicated video. In terms of AI, this is sort of how I see it. It's like traveling. You know how when you prepare for a trip, you plan your itinerary and just your budget and all those things. And then it's time for the flight, you go to the airport or you prepare your car for the long drive. And you go through a lot of experiences with it. Some of it are mostly good, hopefully, and some of it can also be like irritating or inconvenient. But by the end of the day, you take something of that experience with you. So as you go about this journey, because traveling is a journey, to get to your destination, there's all this experiences, good, and some of it can also be bad. But you take these experiences and memories, but most of all, the stories with you. So when you get to your destination, there is a result that makes you look forward to another journey, just because there's a lot that's happened that got you to your destination and now you're just exploring. AI is basically the planning and itinerary stage of traveling and then going directly to the destination using teleportation. There's no process, story, struggles, adventure, but most of all, no growth. And let's face it, the lazy ones, they love that. But us, we want more because we can do more. Don't get me wrong, I love advancement in technology. I mean, that's basically the reason why I'm able to do what I do on the iPad, and so can a lot of people. But that's a tool, it's a support. It's something that inspires you to create. While AI as they call it, generating images, I think the most accurate term that we should be using is AI generated data. It doesn't matter if it's an image, if it's sound, or others. The point here is it's just all data. And the only way that AI will be fully embraced by the creative community is if there comes a conclusion or a collaboration between artists who are willing to share their data and works to the system with consent, but most of all, with proper compensation. That's my brief opinion and feelings towards AI currently, and I could actually go longer and talk about it, but I would love to do that in its own dedicated video. So for now, thank you so much again for 20,000 subscribers. Oh wait, it's 24 now. Thank you so much for this journey in YouTube. I look forward to sharing more and creating more memories with you. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you on the next video and possibly on my live stream. And as always, let's all go out there and make some art.